Okay, so if you're on Ozempic, Wegovy, Zepbound, Mounjaro, whatever your GLP-1 is, I need you to stick with me for this video because I just went deep on a New York Times investigation about these drugs. And honestly, it both confirmed and changed how I think about what's happening inside my body right now. And I'm not talking about the weight loss stuff. I'm talking about the fact that researchers, like the actual scientists who invented these drugs, are saying they don't fully understand how they work yet. And that some of the things people on GLP-1s are reporting might be rewriting how we understand disease itself. That's not hype. That's literally what's happening. Let's get into it. So the piece opens with this woman named Laurel Schmidt. She's a mom in Portland, Oregon. In 2017, she's biking to pick up her kids from daycare, gets hit by a car, goes flying over her handlebars head first. She walks away, but then develops a traumatic brain injury so severe that for nearly 10 years, she can't cook because she's afraid she'll forget to turn off the stove. She can't drive. She lives in a dark room most days. She describes it as being inside a snow globe, constantly shaken up. And then in early 2025, she starts researching GLP-1s for herself. She finds animal studies suggesting the drugs might help with concussions. She actually tracks down one of the researchers involved and he tells her, ask your doctor about trying this off label. She starts Zepbound in February of 2025. Within days, her symptoms started lifting. She goes from a concussion symptom score of over 100 out of 132 down to just 6. And on Thanksgiving, she runs a race with her daughters, her first race since the accident. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen for everyone. The researchers are very careful about that. But that story is the whole point of what I want to talk about today because Laurel didn't wait for a clinical trial. She figured it out herself. And that's what's happening everywhere right now, including probably with some of you watching this video right here, right now. Here's where it gets interesting and a little humbling, honestly. When GLP-1s blew up for weight loss, we were told a pretty clean story. These drugs mimic a gut hormone that makes you feel full. You eat less, you lose weight. Simple, right? Turns out that's not really true, or at least it's wildly incomplete. The researchers interviewed in this piece, including Daniel Drucker, one of the scientists whose discoveries literally built the foundation for these drugs, say that the GLP-1 hormone our body naturally produces does absolutely nothing important physiologically on its own. It's one of hundreds of chemical signals in the body. It's not a star, it's more like background noise. What makes the drugs powerful is what happens when you flood the body with a much higher, long lasting dose. GLP-1 receptors are everywhere, your gut, your heart, your kidneys, and critically in your brain. And when you hit all those receptors at once, all kinds of things start happening that nobody fully predicted. For example, the weight loss doesn't actually come from your gut, it comes from your brain. The brain has its own GLP-1 signaling system that, when artificially boosted, powerfully damps down the urge to eat. That's why you might feel like food just stops being interesting. That's your brain, not your stomach. And then there's this many of the health benefits people are seeing for heart disease, kidney disease, liver disease, they happen whether or not the person loses any weight. The drug is doing something else entirely through pathways researchers are still trying to figure out. The journalist who wrote this story says she's never covered a medical story where scientists repeatedly apologize for how bewildering their own results are. Okay, so this is the part I keep thinking about. The researchers think one of the biggest things GLP-1s are doing across all these different conditions is reducing inflammation, and not in the blunt way that steroids do, where they basically shut your immune system down and leave you vulnerable. GLP-1s seem to fine tune the inflammatory response, they dampen it. One researcher called it a new frontier in medicine. Here's the theory they're building on. A lot of diseases we think of as totally separate, like diabetes, heart disease, and arthritis, brain conditions, even addiction, may actually share the same root causes. chronic inflammation, metabolic dysfunction, immune dysregulation. And GLP-1s may be hitting those shared roots, which could explain why someone on Ozempic for weight loss suddenly notices their joint pain is better, or why people are reporting that their IBS symptoms cleared up, or why there's serious research now into whether these drugs can help with addiction. I've partnered with Fridays, and if you're uninsured, underinsured, or branded GLP-1s just aren't in the budget for you, Fridays has you covered. They offer compounded GLP-1 options at accessible prices with no membership fees. And that includes your lab work, unlimited provider visits, nutrition coaching, dietitian support, and live workout programs. They also provide access to TRT for all you men out there and powerhouse supplements like Semorlin and NAD+. They even have a meal delivery service for an additional charge. You can use the link in the description of this video and the code RMZ to get a discount on your first order. The lead researcher at the University of Toronto has basically redirected his entire lab towards studying GLP-1's immune effects because he said every chronic disease he looked at had this one underlying theme: inflammation. Now, does this mean GLP-1s are a miracle cure for everything? Absolutely not. The same researchers are very clear. We don't know which of these effects will hold up in clinical trials, which doses work, or who will respond. One of them put it really plainly. If you treated 100 people with concussions with GLP-1s, could 35 to 40% respond? Which could make it genuinely useful, or would it just be 3%, which is basically noise? Right now, nobody knows. So here's the reality of where we are. A New York Times Morning Consult survey of over 2,000 GLP-1 users found that 63% said if the drug failed to help the condition it was originally prescribed for, they'd probably keep taking it anyway for other benefits they've noticed. That's how much people are finding unexpected value in these drugs. And people aren't waiting for doctors for these trials. They're experimenting themselves, the bio bros. On Reddit and Facebook groups through low barrier telehealth apps, someone in an article was self-adjusting her doses of compounded GLP-1s for lupus without telling her doctor because she couldn't afford the brand name version. That's not an outlier. That's what's happening at scale. There have been real disappointments. Two big studies testing GLP-1s for Alzheimer's came back with nothing in late 2025. Parkinson's trials fell short. There are lawsuits from people claiming serious stomach complications. And then there's the Wild West stuff like research Tirzepatide, a next-gen drug not even FDA approved yet, that's already being sold on gray markets and promoted by podcasters as a trillion-dollar drug that'll change everything. The point is, we are in the middle of the experiment, not before it, not after it. It's right now. So if you're currently on a GLP-1, what does any of this mean for you? A few things I took from this. One, pay attention to the effects beyond the obvious. If you're noticing changes in your energy, your mood, your pain levels, your relationship with alcohol and other habits, that's probably not placebo. There's real science behind a lot of it, even if it's not fully understood yet. Keep notes, tell your doctor. Two, be careful about where you're getting information and your medication. The gap between what's being promised online and what's being proven is enormous right now. Gray market peptides and influencers giving out dosing advice, that stuff carries real risks. The researchers in this piece are genuinely excited about GLP-1s and genuinely worried about what's happening outside of the medical system. Three, understand that your doctor might not have answers. This isn't a knock on the doctors. It's that the science is moving faster than the guidelines. If you're experiencing something unexpected, good or bad, push to have that conversation. You might be contributing to what we collectively learn about these drugs. And four, the access problem is real. The people who arguably need these drugs the most for obesity, diabetes, metabolic disease are often the ones least able to get them or afford them. If you're in a position where you have access, that's genuinely a privilege worth being aware of. I'll leave you with Laurel Schmidt. She still doesn't know exactly why the drug worked for her. She doesn't know how long she'll take it, but she started documenting everything from the beginning, her symptoms, her scores, her progress, in the hope that someday someone would study it properly. And I think that's kind of the right posture for all of us right now. Take it seriously, pay attention, share what you're experiencing with your doctor. Don't let the hype in either direction outrun what you actually know. We are all in some way part of this experiment. Might as well be thoughtful about it. Now, if this was useful, subscribe. I'm going to keep covering this stuff as the science develops. Drop your own GLP-1 experiences in the comments. Let's chat about it. I generally read and respond, and I'll see you on the next one. I've linked this article down in the description of this video. It may be paywall, so it is on the New York Times, but thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you later.